In this video, we're going to look at solving equations whenever we have letters on both sides of the equal sign. So whenever you're talking about a side, you're talking about the equal sign being that solid foundation, and then to the left-hand side of the equal sign and to the right-hand side of the equal sign. So this first equation, we've got 8x take away 4 equals 3x plus 26. Now, whenever I do this, I tend to look for the smallest amount of x's or letters. The reason I look for the smallest amount is to try and avoid having a negative in front of the letter. So this just avoids that if you look for the smallest amount. So in this case, my smaller amount of x's is 3x. And I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides, because that means we will no longer have any x terms on the right-hand side. We'll only have x terms on the left-hand side. So we do this, we do 8x take away 3x, leaves you with 5x. We've still got our subtract 4. We've got our equal sign, ideally in a nice neat line below the previous equal sign. 3x take away 3x is 0, and you're left with a positive 26. And we just leave that as 26, you don't need the plus in front. And then we are back to solving an equation where we only have letters on one side. So in order to try and get that x term on its own, the first thing we want to do is get rid of that subtract 4. The opposite of subtracting 4 is adding 4. What you do to one side, you do to the other. So you're left with 5x minus 4 plus 4 is 0. And then you've got 26 add 4, which leaves you with 30. And then to finally get the x term on its own, we get rid of our 5. The opposite of timesing by 5 is dividing by 5. What we do to one side, we do to the other. 5 divided by 5 leaves you with 1x, or just x on its own. We've got our equal sign again, and 30 divided by 5 is 6. So our answer is x equals 6. Okay, our second equation here, we have x subtract 16 equals 8x subtract 2. So I'm going to go for my smallest amount of x's here. X is smaller than 8x, so I'm going to move that one. So in order to get rid of that x term, I'm going to subtract x. And what I do to one side, I do to the other. X take away x is 0, and you still got your negative 16. Make sure you don't lose that negative sign. You've got your equal sign below the one above. 8x take away x is 7x, and we've still got our subtract 2. We want to get x on its own. 7's really close to the x, so the first thing we get rid of is the subtract 2. Working your way in towards the x. Opposite of subtracting 2, adding 2. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Negative 16 add 2 is negative 14, and that equals 7x. Minus 2 plus 2 is 0. And then to get x on its own, we get rid of our 7. The opposite of timesing by 7 is dividing by 7. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Negative 14 divided by 7, so you've got a positive negative battle, so the negative wins. I'm moving your screen there. Negative wins. How many 7s are in 14? 7 goes into 14 twice. And you've got your equal sign. 7 divided by 7 is a 1, so you're just left with your x. And then it's always better to have x on the left-hand side of the equal sign, so negative 2 equals x is the same as saying x equals negative 2. And that's your final answer there.